So we all saw Dricus Du Plessis lose his World Championship belt the other night to Khamzat Chimaev. But did you know that Dricus Du Plessis was directly responsible for tourism being fucked up in South Africa, for the price of food going through the roof, and on top of all that, because he's white, the economy is fucked up too. So it's been an absolutely insane reaction online to Dricus Du Plessis losing his championship belt to Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 319 the other night. We'll talk a little bit about the fight and how it unfolded, and then we'll get to the insane backlash. He didn't just take a beating in the octagon from the fantastic Palestinian supporter, he actually took a beating online as well for his rhetoric. Whatever. Before we get into that, if you do me a favor, if you could like, subscribe and share, I'd really appreciate that. You can check out my alternative platforms just in case this one gets banned, and if you want to support the channel, you can become a member and jump onto the Patreon. I really appreciate it. So I watched the fight the other night. I wasn't super surprised on how it unfolded. I thought Khamzat was going to come hard in the first 2 or 3 rounds like that. I did think that he would tank. It didn't happen. He kept that pressure on for the entire 5 rounds, and Dricus Du Plessis had no answer. There was a fleeting moment in the 5th round where I thought Dricus might be able to pull off a submission, which would have been delicious. But in fairness, fair play to Khamzat Chimaev, his pressure was there for the entire 5 rounds. The wrestling was incessant. Yes, there was no attempts at submission. Yes, there was no ground and pound. Yes, there was no actual MMA. It was just Khabib Nurmagomedov on rinse and repeat. We just saw him take the back continuously, making Dricus carry the weight. It was hard to watch. What does it mean for the UFC going forward to have another one of these inbreds as champion? I guess it's going to be pay-per-view numbers are through the floor. No one's going to bother doing that, and the only time you're going to fill an arena is when it's out in, you know, the Middle East or something. I don't know. Whatever. UFC seemed to be headed in that direction. Dana seems happy with all that, so I don't know. The reaction to Dricus Du Plessis losing on social media was something like I've never seen before. Every single black with a phone was online talking about how he was the most vile racist on the planet. From really big platforms to really small platforms, everybody was in unison in terms of sticking the boot into Dricus because he lost.
My thing is, Dricus Du Plessis, did you forget that you were co-signing Trump a few months ago? Talking about there was genocide in South Africa, fucking up the tourism industry, fucking up the economy. Now food prices are up the charts because of your boy Trump. This guy was supporting Trump, talking about, yeah, there's a genocide in South Africa. Farmers are getting killed. There's a lot of things happening in South Africa. Bad things are happening in South Africa. Now, all of a sudden, he's crying because South Africans didn't support him and we were celebrating his defeat. No, Dricus Du Plessis, you gotta walk like the duck you said you are. You decided to turn your back on South Africa, co-signing Trump, co-signing Elon Musk, talking about, yeah, farmers are getting murdered.
I don't know who this dude is. He's got a decent sized platform. He's off his game like a complete nut job. But listen, the victim consciousness is so deep within these blacks that we're never going to change it. I'm not surprised at the reaction from all these people online. I'm not going to come out here and be like, why is it that every time there's a white fighter or a white sportsman and he's from South Africa that the country doesn't get? I don't care about that. I know what they're like. So like, it's not some big like news story for blacks to be angry at white people for doing better than them. Of course not. You know, these lads are straight out of huts. They wouldn't have a single structure built in their country unless it was for white people. That's why they're angry, and that's why they're out here throwing kicks and boots into Dricus Du Plessis, who actually came from the same country as you after his ancestors built it, then followed his dreams and became something. So that's why they're angry, that's why they're coming after him. Co-signing Donald Trump and talking about farm murders. A lot of people used that rhetoric when coming after Dricus this weekend, talking about the fact that he mentioned farm murderers or white genocide. And it's like, what are we doing here in terms of that? The Whitcross Monument has approximately 3,000 white painted metal crosses, each representing the death of a South African during a farm attack. Here we can see them. Everybody knows the monument. Everybody knows that there's 3,000 white crosses there representing 3,000 white farmers who lost their lives at the hands of South Africans. The real South Africans. I don't know why everyone was saying it like it was some sort of own. This guy believes in white farmers losing their lives. Okay, like, what are we doing here? Gaslighting 101. The levels of delusion go from like 1 all the way up to 100 in terms of Dricus is responsible for the economy failing. He's responsible for food being more expensive. He's responsible for tourism failing. It's got nothing to do with the fact that if you come to South Africa as a white tourist, you could possibly end up over here as a white cross. Tourism isn't failing because of that. It's because of Dricus Du Plessis. And of course, the fake inflation that's hitting the entire world, obviously that applies to South Africa. That's clearly Dricus Du Plessis' fault as well because he is white. So delusion was off the charts. But if I jump over here and I show you a few of them, it's insane. The words Dricus Du Plessis, racist, are actually trending on Twitter because so many of these blacks are losing their minds and are so happy. They're all very quiet when Israel Adesanya, the most overt racist in the UFC or in sports, maybe, I don't know, got his ass whooped by Dricus. Everyone disappeared into the shadows. But they're back out now and they're back out in force. And as I said, very low IQ, obviously. So you got statements like this: I'm not unpatriotic and always will support our sportsmen and women, whatever colour or creed, unless they're white. Dricus Du Plessis has proven unpatriotic. He peddles lies about South Africa for no reason other than blatant racism. I will never support a racist liars who sacrifice our country to spread their racism. How many times can you get that word into the one tweet? Like, come on. Here's the best bit of the whole story. Khamzat Chimaev was born in 1994 in Chechnya, Russia. In 2013, he moved to Sweden, but retained his Russian citizenship. In 2023, Khamzat is a vociferous supporter to the end of genocide and a free Palestine. I am happy that humanitarian has beaten a racist. Oh man, stop. I covered a story before. I'll pull it up just for the crack. Khamzat Chimaev convicted of an assault in 2018, right? He attacked some security guard in a store in Sweden when he was like, I don't know, 18 or 19 or something like that. He had been given refuge from the warlord Kadyrov, who he has been best friends with ever since. So he sought refuge from a warlord who he's best friends with. In other words, he got a free ticket to Sweden. As European countries do, we take in all these absolute vile rats and we get no appreciation for it. He came in, he got into numerous bouts of trouble. This one was very hard to find and it was the only one that I could get a publication on. But there's a lot more that I couldn't verify. So this one, he gets into trouble, he gets a suspended sentence, gets a criminal record, can't get citizenship of that country, so he bounces to United Arab Emirates. It wasn't some like egalitarian thing to move to the Middle East. It was because he had fucked up his chances here by being a scumbag rat, which 95% of these people that come seeking refuge are fucked up rats. The list goes on and on. So besides hanging out with Kadyrov, then you had the crypto scam. Then you had missing weight by 8 pounds and flipping the bird to UFC fans and sneering and laughing into their face. Then you have the fact that because of his connection with warlords that he apparently had to flee from years ago, now he can't get into the United States of America, so all these fights had to happen in the Middle East until recently, until Mr. Trump, the person who seems to be the big bad guy for all the South Africans. Donald Trump is the reason why Khamzat Chimaev is in the US now, and that has been said and that is on record, that things are going to change when Trump gets into power and hopefully I can get back into the country. So because of Trump, this dude was allowed fight in the US. This criminal was allowed come to the US and get that title from Dricus Du Plessis. So when you say that you're happy that this humanitarian has beaten Dricus, come on. And these deluded attacks on Dricus Du Plessis for losing the belt to Rat's Face go on and on and on. I mean, you could scroll forever and you can continuously find blacks that are angry because a white person was successful and that a white person told the truth. There is no wider, broader conversation to be had about why is it that, black people are very racist towards white people. We all know. There's no new eye-opener here. There's no new revelation. We know what they are. We know how they feel about us. And we know that our governments force us to live in the same vicinity as them because they hate us. And they know that the vitriol that we saw on social media translates into real world. And that translates into the thousands of videos we see of white people being attacked by these savages. And as for Dricus Du Plessis, your people couldn't be more proud of you. And you know what is even more infuriating is that your country was always behind you and they were proud of you as well. If any of that made sense, let me know down below. Maybe hit like, subscribe and share. Cheers.